What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Tuesday night's late night agenda. I hope you're all in as good a spirits as we can be with what has been an absolute disgrace of a transfer window so far. Tonight we're going to go back over our interview with David Lynch and try and pick out a few bits of information from that to maybe give us some positive vibes heading forward. We're going to again ask how on earth this happened, but as always I do appreciate you guys giving up some of your time to come and have a chat with me. It's been a fairly frustrating 48 hours to say the least, but I do always find some light-hearted moments in these situations, and the one that tickles me the most is that I'm getting full credit for the transfer not happening because I sang a Zubimendi song, so that makes it all my fault, which is fine. I'm absolutely fine to be the butt of some jokes on that. That's part of the story, but people tend to miss the really important part about it. It was a super chat, I think, from somebody that sent in that said, "What do you think of this, Craig?" And I sang the song having a bit of a laugh, and I do it again tomorrow. But if you think that's why transfers don't pan out, then I'd love to have that view on life. I really would. It's a stretch to say the least, but I always look for moments of humour in these situations, and Twitter usually delivers on them. Right, so how are we all? I'm just getting set up here in the background, excuse me, getting all the super chat stuff and that ready for the stream. Right, we're good to go. Thank you for bearing with me while I get to grips with stuff. First super chat of the day coming from Ian straight away. Let me get this up on screen for you, Ian, my man. So, said, could we really go for Martin Zubimendi in the January transfer window or try to buy him for next summer window like Haaland did with Manchester City? So, one of the questions, Ian, and thank you for your super chat by the way, one of the questions that I did ask David was, is there any chance that we revisit this transfer? And it seems no. You know, I think the club are really angered by this whole situation because we were led up the garden path, you know. It was told that he wanted to move. I even tried to probe David on whether us hanging around and not triggering that release clause slowed the deal down enough for them to get into the player's head and change his mind. But unfortunately, it is what it is on that front. There's nothing I can say or you can say or anyone can say that's going to make it better. It's another failure. You have to face up and front up to these things. It's a failure from the club to not get this done. And it's an even more disgraceful act to then come out and start talking about not signing a number 6 in this window. You can't go into year number 4. You know, one of the things, and I give immense credit to David for a conversation when we spoke, was, are the club being too picky? Are they looking for 1 in a million when they're not willing to pay the money for a 1 in a million? Perhaps maybe we need to reevaluate a little bit with regards to what we should be looking for. How high is this threshold for a 6? You, I and many other Liverpool fans around the world right now will have lots of names on a list that we'd all throw forward, ranging from De Jong to Decore to Wharton to Ederson to Cooper Miners. There's many names we can throw out there, but it is just that at this moment in time. It's us trying to figure out, one, how on earth the club managed to make such a mess of this, and how we're 0 for 4 in conversations, negotiations to try and sign the number 6. You go all the way back to Zubimendi, who made it clear he wanted Madrid. Then you had Caicedo, Lavia, and now Zubimendi. But as David said, the club were informed on all the way through the process that he wanted the move. Richard Hughes is out of his depth, said Get Good Entertainment. Michael Edwards has lost it, and FSG are tighter than my ex's sister. Keep up the good work, Craig. Much love, dude. So, I mean, I don't know how to judge Richard Hughes on the. I don't know how to judge him as a sporting director because, well, the only thing we have to judge so far is a failure to get a deal across the line. I'm sure he'll have better days. I'm sure he'll have more positive days at the club. But look, I get it. And I'm certainly not here to defend the ownership structure of the football club. For me, this is a very black and white situation again. Liverpool have shit the bed. We haven't got another signing over the line. And this belief that we may not have any signings coming in, I mean, Ian Doyle, I think it was, of the Echo said that Liverpool probably won't have a signing on board, or almost certainly won't have a signing on board before the season starts anyway, which is Saturday at 12:30. And on that, they've already started. The PGMOL have already started trying to shaft us. Guess who's on VAR duty for the first game of the season? Have a little guess, go on. The same absolute Omadon that was unable to do his job against Manchester City. The same VAR official who has shafted us numerous times, Stuart Atwell, ladies and gentlemen, will be the VAR at Stockley Park for Liverpool's opening game against Ipswich. Now, you may or may not remember, he was the VAR that didn't give the penalty, or didn't even ask the referee to go to the monitor when Jeremy Doku went full-on Karate Kid to Alexis McAllister. So, day one, season one, game one, and they're at it already. Atwell, who was unable to do his job because he's either scared of annoying City or he's living in a parallel universe where he didn't see what the rest of the world see, which was somebody getting kicked in the chest. Steve, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Steve Kirkham said, United 2 signings in 20 minutes, us nothing in 2 months. Only way to save this window, swap Lucho for De Jong, get Gordon and maybe get Bastoni. So I cannot say this enough until people maybe you didn't hear it or not, but he's on €725,000 a week at Barcelona. Now put yourself in Frankie De Jong's shoes. Are you leaving with that contract? Because I wouldn't. I would take every last minute and week and day and cent of that €725,000 a week. So unless he's willing to take a massive pay cut, not happening. And that's before we even get into, I don't know if he's the right stylistic fit for us or not. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but no way that's happening. With regards to Bastoni, it was an interesting conversation actually, Stevie, with David on Bastoni, because I brought up the subject to him, almost expecting it to be completely dismissed. But what he did say was, somebody who, I'm paraphrasing here, but you can watch the interview for yourself. It is available on podcast as well, by the way. He said something along the lines of, somebody whose opinion he trusts did say something to him about Bastoni, but he hasn't written about it because he doesn't feel like the interest is maybe genuine or strong enough to make him a proper target. I'm paraphrasing somewhat there, but that's kind of along the lines of what he said. So the name has certainly come up in Liverpool circles, we can say that, but whether that translates into Liverpool making a bid or not, Stevie, I don't know, mate. It certainly is the different style of profile to what Liverpool had initially gone into this window to look for, which is somebody a little bit younger who can grow into the role, but maybe needs change. Maybe if you don't get in a defensive midfielder, you say to yourself, okay, well, we bring in a here and now defender perhaps. Maybe there is going to be a change of thinking there. I certainly hope so. Stevie Boy said it's okay, the two frauds, Hughes and Edwards, are still window shopping. There's nothing that I can say that will defend the indefensible, mate. And we have, once again, been left looking like a joke. So everyone that's venting and angry, I'm right there alongside you. You know my thoughts on these owners, and that's not going to change. They're cheap. It is that simple. They are tin pot owners in my mind. They're just not what we need. You can talk about safety, thread and water, being financially secure, great. But I didn't grow up dreaming about supporting a financially secure football club. We dreamt about seeing our captain lifting trophies above his head and our new coach coming in and building on the great work that Jurgen did before him. And it feels like he's been thrown under the bus here a little bit as well. Karen took the kids. Thank you for your super chat. Said, Craig, United fan here. Feel like we've swapped owners. FSG are looking a bit mid from up here in my recently constructed Ineos Ivory Tower. you may need a similar minority shares purchase. We've weirdly, mate, we've already done that. Redbird Capital did come in and buy, I think it was 11% of all of FSG's holdings, which there was some various different lines around that time, from it's being used to offset the losses during COVID to it's being used to help fund other bits and pieces. But either way, if I was a United fan, I'd certainly be laughing at us. Because if this happened to you, mate, I'd be laughing. So, as I said, I'm happy to give it out. I'm always happy to take it back as well in that regard. And we just look... We look like we think we're cleverer than we actually are. Because this was the big one. You bring back Richard Hughes, or you bring in Richard Hughes, you bring back Michael Edwards, you put the team together, it's lauded across the media, and we expect deliverance on transfers. But we got a very different type of... Not really the deliverance we wanted, is it? But that's what it feels like right now. Feels like I'm sitting there just waiting for something to happen, getting angrier and angrier by the minute. Boxed Will, how are you, my friend? Said, typical FSG, nobody else is good enough, so we won't spend it all. Back to the Europa League again. Unacceptable, ambitiousless owners, FSG out. Look, I warned all summer. Some of you were with me. Some of you thought I was getting ahead of myself again. And I've always said, I understand your perspective. I understand why maybe you think I'm in the wrong. I understand why maybe you think, hang on, Craig, let the window play out. Don't get ahead of yourself. But every year, it's failure. It's under-delivering and not the over-delivering that they so often love to remind us about. They're under-promising and over-delivering. They had one job, which is to strengthen the squad. To give Arne Slot the ability to go in and challenge for a league title. And once again, as we sit here now, 2 months into the transfer window, bar one day, we have signed 0 players and are looking at offloading 2 or 3 more, by the way, which we'll talk about over the course of the next the next hour and a half. Jonesy lad, saving money for... I don't want to read that out because I don't want to speak about somebody's wife, mate. Sorry. I'm here to call out John on anything to do with Liverpool Football Club, and I'll call him out for being cheap, but I'm never going to disrespect a man's wife. Yeah, not going to do that, mate. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm just not going to do it. Paul Corcoran, monitoring FC, hoodwinked again, Craig. It's the old bait and switch, mate. You know, promise one thing, get everybody all hyped up, then that thing fails to materialise, and now, unfortunately for us, the switch is nothing. You know, it's back to this age-old nonsense of, well, the number one target that we wanted didn't want to come, so then that's it, hands up in the air and we don't even look. That's what's most unacceptable here to me. That we aren't going to look at a Wharton or an Ederson or a Coop Miners or somebody else. Because, okay, Zubimendi may have had 98% of what Hughes and Edwards were looking for, but you can't tell me that a good 90% signing wouldn't still give us options and improve the squad. These journalists, the ones that are out there doing the club, bidding for them again, have they no shame? Genuinely, have they no shame? Even James Pearce, somebody who I hold in very, very high regard, came out and said that Liverpool don't have any interest in a goalkeeper in this window. Or something to that effect. Let me just grab the exact quote here from Mr. James Pearce. 1 second. I'm just going through. Yeah. Liverpool have been monitoring Georgi Mamardashvili, but as things stand, they're not looking to recruit a goalkeeper in this window. So why did we put an offer in? Honestly, I've got nothing but respect for James Pearce, but I'm sorry, that's absolute crap. Again, also, all summer, 75 million was the bare minimum Liverpool would take for Diaz. Don't even come and knocking if you haven't got 75 million. Nobody came knocking. And now all of a sudden over the past 3-4 days, the Athletic are speaking about Diaz again. Speaking about Diaz getting sold. Why? If you know something, say it. I asked David Lynch, do you think the club are proactively looking to sell Diaz? I don't know the answer. But I do know that this nonsense needs to stop. The journalists that do the club's bidding or are sympathetic to the club's PR bullshit surely must know that they're eroding their own reputation. Like, James Pearce is loved by many of the Liverpool fan base for obvious reasons, because I can tell you he's a really nice guy. But you cannot write that type of stuff and then think we're all just going to swallow it. We're not looking to bring in a goalkeeper in this window. That's absolute pony. Liverpool are 100% interested in bringing in Georgi Mamardashvili. So much so that we were even able to find out that, of course, we can't loan him out to Bournemouth if he came in, because you can't sign a player in one window and loan him out in the same league in the same window. So the conversation very quickly switched to he'd be loaned back to Valencia for the year. And there's also been reports that we've had an offer turned down. And following on from those reports, Liverpool are holding firm at their valuation and won't come back in for the higher number. Now, how is any of that along the lines of Liverpool aren't looking to bring in a goalkeeper in this window? It's not. It's more bullshit. And it hurts me to say that, because I really, really do like James Pearce, but I don't care. If I see this nonsense, I'm calling it out no matter who it is. Harry, thank you. Hincapié is the one centre-back and left-back cover. Ryan in the 6 is shocking. Barely played in 2 years, but expect him to start each game. Too much pressure on Ryan, said Harry. Let me just get Mahmoud's comment up. Mahmoud said, I'm still mad about Zubimendi rejecting us. It doesn't feel that we're pushing for any signings, and yet we seem to have no problem selling Carvalho. So, on the human perspective, I can understand how a player could be talked back around to staying at his boyhood club. Of course, we can all understand that. But the one thing that still strikes me as odd is if you had got the nod from the agent months ago and the player that he's open and wants to move, why don't you just trigger the release clause? Because giving them that time has allowed him to change his mind, has allowed the manager to sit down with the player and pitch him a vision of why his life is so much better at Sociedad and why he shouldn't move just yet. Now, I know the mechanism for triggering that release clause had to be him or his agent lodging the money, but so what? That would have called his bluff even earlier, and then you would have known straight away if he was stringing you along, and we might have saved ourselves a week to 10 days and the embarrassment that we have now. So, The Honest Tiger said, Craig, as a United fan, what do you think of the signing so far, and what do you think we might get top 4? Keep it up. Great work you do on your channel. Thank you, mate. I don't know anything about Xerxes, so I can't really give an opinion on him. De Ligt, not meaning this to sound rude, I wouldn't have him at Liverpool for a few reasons. Stylistically, and I do think his injury record's a bit sketchy. On top of that, he seemed to follow money in a lot of his moves. But it will certainly strengthen your defence. The right back, I think, is a fairly solid signing. I'm trying to think of who else you're bringing in. Have I missed somebody there? If I have, look, you're doing business. You're strengthening your team. And you're certainly giving Ten Lasso enough opportunity to go in there and try and secure a top 4 thing. Now, there was something quite funny that Sky Sports put out earlier on, which I guess shows how delusional we all are as fans. And I say all of us because if the roles were reversed, I'm sure it'd be the same. But it was basically a report that said, United fans were surveyed asking if they think they would finish above Liverpool in the league. And it was something like, I'm just going to get these numbers here now, 61% said yes, United will finish above Liverpool in the league, compared to the rest of football. Here it is here now. So it was Premier League fans in general, 78% thought Liverpool would finish above United, 22% think United will finish above us. But when you ask United fans, 69% of United fans think they're going to finish above Liverpool, with 31% saying they won't. I don't really expect that to be any different, to be fair. You always should go into the season believing the best of your team, but I'd be very, very surprised, even with the way our squad is now, if United finished even within 10 points of us, to be honest with you. But it's getting back into the Champions League has to be United's goal for this season ahead. Our goal, well, get a bleeding signing in would be a good start. Andrew Gardner said, Europa Conference League, if we're lucky this year, fans need to speak out on match days now. So, this is the sentence that I'm about to say, Andrew, out of my own mouth, annoys me before I say it. So let me start with that. Even if we didn't make a single signing, which is completely and utterly unacceptable on every single level, I would still think we're at worst 3rd to 6th. But that's not good enough. Like, don't get me wrong, mate. That just isn't good enough. We shouldn't even be having to consider not being able to win the league. And the fact that these owners have fooled so many people into believing they actually give a damn about winning, well, whatever they're doing, I'd love to learn it, because I couldn't convince you guys of some of the stuff they've convinced some of the Liverpool fans of, despite their actions being very different. I hope John W. Henry's next shite is a hedgehog. Now, I can get on board with that, Ryan. I can get on board with that. Yes, and I hope it rips loads of piles on the way out, drawing blood and everything. Yeah, big messy one, mate. I agree with you. Jamal said, what fixes this window as bad as it's been for us? So I'm going to say, mate, I don't think the window can be fully fixed. But what makes the window less painful is the centre back. Maybe some more firepower up top. But I would still argue, and I think many people agree, there's still plenty of number 6s or double pivot midfielders who could do a job in this squad. It's not going to send a great message to the likes of Trent, Virgil about their futures, is it? If Liverpool can't bring anyone in and aren't bringing anyone in, what makes us think that the likes of Trent is going to commit the peak years of his career to the club other than the heartstring element? You know, that's a big risk to take, that you're playing on the fact that he won't leave because it's Liverpool. It's just all absolute nonsense from these owners. It's pathetic. Nick, how are you, my friend? I've got loads of news, by the way, to go through, including some potential news on some achievable incoming, so bear with me. Nick said, we've all known a friend who pretends they're never interested when they get rejected by a girl. This situation reeks of this. I don't know, Nick, how any rational human being could think that just failing on Zubimendi and going and walking away is good enough. It's not. And head should roll. If Hughes can't get his first big signing over the line, and we don't know what the rest of his career will be at Liverpool, but it's not a great start. You know, we don't really give a shit as fans about hearing we were assured of X, Y, and Z. Well, you failed. All the assurances you thought you'd been given ultimately amounted to nothing. So, what's next? Well, nothing's next. Liverpool probably won't bring in another number 6, according to the sympathisers in the media. Well, why not start calling out how unacceptable that is? How embarrassing that is? How could a club like Liverpool, that lost an iconic manager like Jurgen Klopp, who've got back into the Champions League, not make a statement signing to prove that the new coach they've brought in is one that they truly believe can win? Nope. What we're going to get is the version of events of coach improvements from the players. He's been so amazed and mesmerised by the wonder of the squad that he can just sprinkle fairy dust on it, and all of a sudden Trainioni isn't 17, he's 21, built like a brick shithouse and ready to go. And Bobby Clark, who the club are actively trying to sell, who probably is good enough, is going to go on and leave. And we've got more youngsters now posting black and white images for I don't know what reason. So you can't tell me that's a good look, because they're not doing this because they think it's fun. They're obviously doing it because they're annoyed. And the latest one is now Harvey Blair. So we've had Clark, McConnell and now Blair all posting these black and white photographs of themselves in Liverpool action. Clearly they're annoyed as well. So we've alienated Endo. We've alienated Clark. We've told Vandenberg he's not good enough and we're able to sell him. We've looked like we're trying to move out Diaz. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to be calm? Who do they think they're kidding? Genuinely. Who do these idiots think they're fooling? Because if anybody is in any way accepting of this failure, I really don't know what to say. Like, truly, I don't want to go in on anyone, but the time for accepting any cock and bull story that they spin at this point is just unfathomable to me. Kevin said, what about Trainioni, who can well fit at number 6? So, I'm going to draw your mind back, Kevin, and thank you, by the way, mate, for being with us for 4 months as a member, to what all the journalists were writing 2-3 weeks ago, that Nioni is seen as a huge talent, but not available and ready for the first team, and won't really be involved in much first team action this season. That was what the club briefed, what the journalists wrote, and now we're trying to be re-brainwashed into thinking that the kid, who clearly isn't ready, and why should he be at 17, by the way, physically I mean, he's got the football intelligence, he's a great young player, and definitely one for the future, 100% one for the future. But are we again going to use him as a sacrificial lamb? Because we know young players, when they come into a team, their form is usually up and down. As they settle in, they have an initial burst, sometimes they fatigue a little bit, and they need to be carefully managed. And we shouldn't be looking to throw these guys under a bus because the owners are cheap. Trainioni should be introduced at the right time, when everything is perfect, when the squad's in a strong place, and we want to utilise him and ease him in. And he'll have a long career at the club, hopefully, and we're all very confident it'll be a successful one. But he's not ready yet. Football Rundown said, thoughts on signing the Valencian keeper. So, we've been speaking about this for a while on the channel, Football Rundown. It's certainly a possibility, despite what James Pearce has been saying. It's certainly a possibility. People are going to ask, understandably, well, why are we bringing in a goalkeeper when we have Kelleher still, we have Adrian, we've got Yaros? And it's a fair point, but I would try and say it like this. Alisson will depart at some point, whether it's 1 year or 2 years. And it's far more sensible to know that if Alisson moves on, and let's say it happened quickly, that we aren't then in desperation stakes looking for a goalkeeper. So it feels like Liverpool have looked at Georgi Mamadashvili and think he has what it takes to be Liverpool's number 1 for 8 or 9 years. And at 23 years of age, that maybe they'd be willing to buy him, loan him back, and then reevaluate in a year's time. So I can totally understand that. But again, it isn't addressing one of the big gaps we have in the squad right now. So I get people's confusion around it and frustration by it. But let's say Alisson left next summer. Every club in the world is going to know we're desperate for a top level goalkeeper, and the prices will be absolutely astronomical. So if you can do it now, you look back at it in a while and think, okay, maybe it's a good deal. And he certainly looks like a good goalkeeper. Kevin Kingori, thank you for gifting a membership, mate. Appreciate you. Super chat from Mookie said, good luck, Slot. It's not your fault, mate. And yes, now I perfectly understand Jurgen's words. Running out of energy, and good luck to our nerves. Yes, look, I think everybody, despite what anyone else says, is starting to see that it may be that Jurgen got a bit fed up with constantly battling, whether it's referees, whether it's the owners. I get it, and we all understand that. But the part that none of us should accept, mate, is Slot has been brought in after an exhaustive search, told that he's that guy, that the club have belief in him, and he's been thrown under the bus by a lack of signings. So yeah, I totally wish Arne the best, because I want him to be a success. I love the style of football we've been playing in pre-season. But once again, the cheapskates in Boston are making a show of their own club. And somehow on Twitter, it's my fault. I love this, by the way, hilariously, because I sang Zubimendi, it's my fault. I jinxed it. It's a great place. You can see why it's the go-to for the few sandwich short of a picnic brigade to get their kicks, because their ire should very much be squared at the owner of the football club. But I guess it's easier to just point the finger elsewhere rather than deal with reality. Sean, thank you, mate. Oh, no, it's a different one I brought up, was it? This was, sorry, Teke. Keep going, bro. We need supporters like you. Thank you. Look, mate, I'm never going to stop. And I don't care. See, I got it off loads of people before the Zubimendi thing even failed. I was being told I should apologise to John W. Henry by some of these sycophants in the comments who think that one good signing, that by the way they did shit the bed on, is suddenly enough to forgive everything. Really weird people. The owners don't give a damn about you or the club or winning. If that isn't apparent, I'll never be able to win some of those people over. But I tell you what I won't do is stop, because it's our job as supporters to hold the people who are custodians of our football club to account. Whether that's over the Super League, whether that's over lack of transfer activity, or anything else that we view as being subpar. We should have every right to stand up and speak about it. But in this day and age, the only people that get rewarded are cowards. The only people who get access are cowards, who won't do the hard yards of actually having a spine and saying, this is bullshit. And the reason they won't do it is because they know they won't get that access. So in what world, and by the way, this isn't me going in on other people, this is me going in on the culture of football media. Whereas football clubs are now so powerful and all-encompassing that you either toe the company line or you're going to be outside looking in. That isn't healthy. Everybody should be held to account. Teachers in schools, you hold them to account. Politicians, we hold them to account. But apparently in football, you're not allowed to have a dissenting voice. You're a lunatic. You're a troublemaker. You get labelled this, that and the other. Because we won't drink the soup. Because we don't like this particular flavour of bullshit Kool-Aid that they're trying to dish out. Well, I'm never going to stop. How much do you think it's Slot's fault, Clark, etc.? 0. None. I wouldn't personally, mate. And look, again, I can only give you my opinion, Andy. I feel like the manager's been shafted here, because if he's had that conversation with Toro, which we know he has, about limited playing time, limited availability. He's obviously been given the nod to go, this lad's coming. Don't worry about it. We're getting you the number 6. It's happening. And they failed him. So now Virgil looks pretty embarrassed because the day before he was out, all full of faith that those at the club are going to do the right things and bring in the players that we need. Arne said he'd be flabbergasted if we didn't have signings. Well, welcome to Liverpool, Arne Slot, because these are the owners that you're going to be battling with. 7-inch Destroyer said, hey Craig, with what at FSG June, Ineos is closing deals. I mean, I don't have a comeback for that, mate. You know, there is no comeback for it. Other clubs are doing their business, going about strengthening their squad, going about making their fans dream and believe what's possible. Meanwhile, John's hiding away over in Boston somewhere, not having to deal with any of this because he's too busy trying to figure out whether he's going to buy the Boston Celtics or invest more in golf or the Pittsburgh Penguins, because he doesn't give a damn. Stefan said FSG rebuilding stadium, training centre, Klopp 3 Champions League final appearances, 1 Prem, probably not more. Klopp's parting words, club's in great shape. What happened? So let's go through bit by bit what you said. FSG rebuilding stadium, cheaper option. Now again, I'm not saying it's the wrong option, but it's the cheaper of the 2 options, as it was the cheaper of the 2 options in Boston. The training ground, that was down to Klopp. Klopp wanted that. They did it. They sold Melwood to fund some of it. Then they bought Melwood back. AXA came in and coughed up enough dough to help with that training facility, which is great. No argument. 3 Champions League finals with 2 losses. So who's to say a little bit more firepower or strength in depth? Say Salah went off in the first one against Madrid with that injury. Well, maybe if we had the stronger bench or options, we could have actually still won that game. And the 1 Premier League title, yeah, that's tough to take for obvious reasons, both from Manchester City and their shenanigans, and from us and us being 1 point away again. But all of this doesn't excuse sitting here 2 months into the window with nothing done. Because they've given every lie and excuse possible. We have to get the backroom team sorted. Right, that was done. Slot wants to assess his squad in America. Cool, that was done. Richard Hughes said he expects little activity in July and a crescendo in August. Where are we? There's signings happening everywhere, as there was through July. Other clubs are getting their business done. Meanwhile, we seem to be only able to work on 1 transfer deal every month, 2 months, and still not get it done. So it just hasn't been good enough on any level, mate. And these people need to be called out. Because they have the cheek to rebuild the Annie Road end and start selling $6,500 season tickets for the hospitality part, for basically a free program and a little bit of a slider while you're in there. $6,500 plus VAT. But they're not reinvesting any of it, are they? Lucas A came on board, another new sponsor, another new brand. All these things that we've been told are supposed to give us firepower in the market, where is it? Every year we have to sell. So even in this window now, we're still looking at moving players out and we haven't done a damn thing. We're about 48 million quid up in this window between the wages saved from the players who've departed and the money for Carvalho and the money from Solanke. I don't know who can possibly make excuses for these guys anymore. Craig, I won't buy anything from the club anymore, but that AA Adidas top is fresh. Can you sell those? Yes, we could, but I don't think we will, because they'd just be crazy expensive, mate. Like, for me, buying this hoodie just off the rack Adidas, I think I got lucky on the day and I got 2 for 90. They're usually €60 each. Then you throw in a tenner for the embroidery. You're at €70 before tax or anything like. It's just not feasible. I would not ask anyone to pay that money for a top. You're probably talking having to sell them at about 80 quid, 85 quid. It's just not feasible, you know. They do look nice though. I got a few made for me, one for Connor. But yeah, I'd love to be able to, but I'd have to find a very cheap supplier of the Adidas tops. The mugs we are going to sell, by the way. They're going to be out soon enough. And I do want to just say what I was meant to say last night, but never really got to. I am delighted to announce that on November the 15th, myself, Carl Porter, and the musical act are going to be doing another live show at the Hot Water Comedy Club. It's going to be an absolutely top level show, bigger than the last one. It's going to be an all ages event again. The tickets aren't available to go on sale just yet, but we will let you know when they are. Tickets are going to be priced at £20 to cover obviously the extra cost of bringing the musical act on board and stuff, because we want to make sure everyone has a great night. But you can put that in your diaries. It's the week of the November international break. It's a Friday night in Liverpool, and we hope you guys can come along, and we'll have a good laugh on the night. Plenty of singing, and obviously all your questions answered, photos, all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, that was what we were building to say last night, but then the news broke, and of course that was the major talking point for the evening. Football Rundown said, should FSG sell Liverpool? So some people will say to you yes, some people will say to you no, but the honest answer is I don't know, because who's going to buy the club? It's not going to be some billionaire who just wants to win. It's probably going to be another venture capital fund, investment fund, a state-backed entity. So, you know, if we could get the right owner, then of course they should sell the club. But it is that doubt and worry that is buying them so much time. It's that whole fear-mongering about, well, as Ian Ayre said once, be careful what you wish for. So let's wait and see. I mean, for me, if they just start freeing up more money for transfers, that would go a long way with a lot of people to making them think, okay, well, we're competitive. That's it. I think most of us, and I certainly would include me in this scenario, the Super League I'll never forgive, but we have to move on from that chapter. Just spend the money on the transfers. Give the manager the tools to go and do his job. And then most of us would be fairly quiet about the owners. But they just keep manipulating the fan base, keep briefing the friendly journalists who keep writing the same old lies and shite over and over again. And it's rinse and repeat. And another window goes by where John hasn't had to spend a penny. Biggest transfer window we've had in the 13 or 12 years of their ownership with regards to a net spend was last year at 90 million. That was our biggest ever, was a 90 million net spend. I don't know what else I can say. The numbers paint a picture. Finishing a little bit off the pace with a lack of squad depth paint a picture. And I'm going to go through our squad depth in a moment. But I've one more super chat to get through before I do. Nike money, TV money, 65 million net spend in 2 years, said Roy. I know, mate, but when you raise these facts in conversation or do a video about it, you're jumped on as a lunatic, a hater, a fool, somebody who doesn't know where Anfield is. I would argue that the foolish people in this are the ones that keep believing the same crap over and over again with no questioning of it. Reese, I'm truly worried about this season, Craig. Our rivals are making good big moves. This isn't good enough. Much love to you and your family there, mate. Thank you. Yes, thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. I have a little quick birthday wish that I have to do. 1 second. So Stephanie, Adam asked me to say happy birthday to you. Really appreciate you guys. Hope to see you at the Liverpool show as well. So much love to you and Adam, and happy birthday, Stephanie. Right, let me run through some more of your before. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back in to go through this. So, money spent on transfer fees In the history of English football, already's tenure of Chelsea in the couple of years, just that work alone, Chelsea are at 1.3 billion euro, which is less than 800 million euro away from what we've done in the history of our football club, in our existence. So Chelsea topped the list overall, having spent nearly 4 billion euro, 3.9 billion euro on transfer fees. Stream is lagging. It certainly is on my end as well. Just give it a refresh. I do apologise. You are right. I did get the notification on my end as well that there was a brief lag. Just refresh, please. Just bear with me while I'm just waiting for you guys to refresh. 1 sec. Think that should be okay now, but apologies on that, my friends. Apologies. Seconds. Just give me a thumbs up if you've refreshed and it's okay. I just want to make sure we're back and good to go. All good. Again, apologies about that, folks. I hate when those things happen, but thank you for sticking with us anyway. Right. Let me get back into where we were at here. So, a report coming out of Spain said Liverpool's bid of 29 million euro for Georgi Mamardashvili has been rejected, and Valencia are holding out for about £34 million or 40 million euro. Now, Liverpool are apparently willing to play the waiting game here and hold it out, knowing that Valencia have to free up some money. So, it's not... What has gone up with the lagging? I can only apologise. I've got no idea. At my end, it shouldn't be lagging. It's not showing... Yeah, it's not showing at my end that it's lagging, but I do, of course, take your word for it. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes here. So I've no indication on my end that there's... I did the first time I got a warning yoke to tell me that it was lagging, but I've no idea why it will be doing it now. So all I can do again is apologise. Okay, cool. Again, sincere apologies. I hate when these things happen. Yeah, it's no win for anyone in these scenarios. So I do apologise. Let me just bring this up on screen from Benjamin. Morning, Craig. After the Zubi drama, I now see journalists talk about the Liverpool spine, saving money to replace it. Absolute garbage. I'm over it. I think you're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, a piece Melissa Reddy did. I've been somewhat playing catch up today because I've been at my psychologist and I only just got back in time to do the David Lynch interview. I have my notes here, bear with me. I'll read through the stuff from Melissa Reddy. Right, so I believe this is what you're speaking about. Liverpool believe more can be maximised from the current squad through coaching. There's still plenty of room for development, and there are young talents who should have a clear pathway to the first team like trainee only. Again, folks, it's just bullshit. There's no other way for me to word it other than these are just people spinning nonsense. We all know that nobody inside Liverpool really thinks that this group's winning the league this year as it sits. Nor does any fan anywhere in the world think Liverpool are going to win the league as it sits right now. So I don't really care what some of these journalists write anymore, because they're not living in reality. And I know, I get that they can only write what the club tell them at times, but I don't have to swallow it. And nor do you. But as I've said it before, it's their own credibility some of these journalists are destroying, so have at it. Shout out Harley, that loves Liverpool. Harley, how are we? Thank you for watching, and thank you for picking Liverpool and loving Liverpool. Roy Patel, thank you Roy, said, it's shocking none of our ex-players are saying nothing. Takes Gary Neville to tell the truth. Caicedo bid was just a stunt or to spite Bowley. I wish some more people would speak up. I really do, mate. I really, really, really do. Because I refuse to believe that former players are looking at this team and believe it's a Premier League winning team or a European Cup winning team as it sits. We're an injury or two away from a catastrophic season again. So, yeah, I wish some of them would speak up as well, because some of these guys' words hold a lot of weight. You know, the likes of a Jamie Carragher, who, to be fair, has spoken up on things in the past on occasion, but it's just unacceptable. Because if you go to Anfield and you bought your season ticket and you spend your 700 odd quid every year for your season ticket, or you travel to away games or a European game, you're coming over knowing that you're buying a premium product that hasn't been given premium backing. You're being asked to pay top dollar to come to a Champions League game, or for the club's official travel partners, or legalised touts, as they should be called. But they're not willing to invest on the playing side. Every year there's this great crop of youngsters that we're supposed to believe in. Well, where the fuck are they? Where are these great crop of youngsters from the last 6 or 7 years? One or two eke their way in. The likes of a Bradley will find his way through, or a Kwanzaa. But then we're expecting them to be world beaters now and win the league. You need experience around you. You need senior heads there, as well as the young talent. Craig, have you read what Melissa Reddy has said? If you didn't, I hope you should. It's baffling. Do they really think we are this stupid? Look, I think Melissa Reddy is a good journalist. I always enjoyed her work. But I'm going to read out a couple of the snippets that Anfield Sector have posted, and I guess we can talk about it then. It's not a far-fetched conclusion to reach that some of Liverpool's conservatism this summer rotates around what might happen in the next one. Replacing a large chunk of the spine of the squad will be a taxing and expensive challenge. Respectfully, they haven't been able to pull off one signing this summer. So on what planet are any rational-minded Liverpool fans supposed to believe the hypothetical magic window next summer, that the whole spine gets redone again? It's just far-fetched nonsense. That I'm sure Melissa has been given this indication, but of course she was, because this is exactly what the club want. The club want the journalist to say, well, next year. Remember last year and the year before, and all these next year promises, they don't lead to anything. So, also goes to say, it looks like Bobby Clark will leave. Salzburg have made their third bid of around 10 million and are pushing hard to get him. Newcastle will also be looking at that situation, but that's another young promising player, by the way, who the club thought so highly of last year that they gave a new contract to, and yet all of a sudden now he's not good enough and off he gets sold. For what? The club haven't got the bottle to go out and sign the players we need. So why are we robbing Arne Slot of young talent? Carvalho gone. Bobby Clark about to go. Endo has been told he's not good enough, but now all of a sudden will have to be talked back around into giving his all. Your captain hasn't been given a contract offer. How's that showing confidence? Vice captain, 25 in his prime, still hasn't been given a new contract offer. They're now also going to need convincing that the future is bright under Liverpool, especially Trent, when you've got Real Madrid over here saying, hang off till January and you can sign a pre-contract and come and play for us next year and win everything. They take us for absolute fools. Jerry, how are you, my friend? Jerry said, literally spent over $3,000 of his hard-earned money to watch us lose to Palace at home last season. People have the nerve to criticise me because I'm a foreign fan who doesn't understand the club, but because I never backed the owners. Well, firstly, mate, thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for your support of our community. And I'm really sorry that some of these assholes feel the need to belittle you. As you've said, 3,000 quid is 3,000 quid. That was your pilgrimage to come across for the experience of watching the Reds. And what you got dealt was a tough card because the squad was falling away. And of course, how dare you complain about it, Jerry, you know? How dare you think, huh? So this is where all of our money is going? On getting beaten by Palace? When you're in a title race? And then, how dare Jerry be a little bit upset about it? I'm with you, Jerry. You've every right to be upset. Especially with the owners. And I'm sorry that that was your experience of coming over, mate, because, you know, we'd all hope that when somebody makes that trip across and spends as much money as you did yourself, that you get a good day out of it. You know, you can't guarantee a win, fair enough, but again, as you said, you've been asked to spend top dollar and the owners aren't willing to put their hands in their pocket to make the club competitive. If FSG sold the club, who would you like as owners? Said Deadpool. A billionaire who wants to win. Now, when I say a billionaire, I mean somebody like, do you remember the guy who owns, was it the Denver Nuggets, or the guy who was involved in Microsoft at one point, or there was an Indian billionaire who was considering buying us? You just want somebody who wants to win. Nobody wants the football club put at risk. Nobody wants Todd Bowley madness. But we do want an owner that, one, is present and actually lives and breathes the ownership of the club and cares and connects with the city and its people. And two, will do whatever is actually possible within their means and within the rules to make Liverpool win, or as close to it as they can get. I don't think that that is an unrealistic expectation to have of an owner of a club with the prestige of Liverpool. Benjamin Alford said, Trainee only 17 years old. He's a baby when he's 22. The rest are approaching 30. If you're going to write articles, at least use your noggin. Exactly. But they don't. Because they have to make sure they stay on side with the club. They have to make sure that they get the invites, the exclusives, the little interviews at Kirby, the AXA training facility. You don't get to do that if you have a backbone. Show me, answer me this question, generally. Show me one fan content creator, written, video or audio, that has been critical of the club that's gotten anything. Any of the pre-season tour access, any of the bye-bye Jurgen stuff, any of the interviews, any of the packages that the club tried to sell, which by the way you can buy a VIP package now for about, I think it's about 500 or 600 quid, where you can get on the coach, go to Melwood have a few pictures taken, come back and spend the day. And any guesses who got those opportunities, perhaps? It isn't anyone that's been critical of the club, of course, because we get shunned. They tried to quieten down our community, but they can't. Because what they fail to remember is there's far more people that will see through their bullshit and their manipulation. And they're finally starting to go, maybe he's right. Maybe the Coppish lads are right. Maybe those that actually have a backbone and speak up are right. So, despite all of that, we're now less than 300 subscribers away from 270,000 people. We are the most watched fan channel, Liverpool-wise, on the planet. And that's working against everything. Imagine how big our community would be if we had 10% of the opportunities that some of these so-called fan accounts, channels have. What's the point? If you can't have an honest conversation about what's needed at the club, like you would in the pub with your mates, for fear of not getting the next interview, then we have a problem. Because that's not a healthy relationship between media, fans and the club. It just isn't. David, how are you, mate? Said, evening, Craig. Had a good day Sunday for my son's first game at Anfield. Then woke up this morning in a good mood because it's my birthday to see all the rubbish with Zubimendi, FSG out. Well, I'm really glad that your son had a good experience. 4-1 victory. Got to see some great goals. Sun was shining. Anfield looked magnificent, David. Happy birthday as well. Yeah, I'm sorry that your experience was soured by that news, but I'm buzzing for you, mate, that you got to bring your young lad to his first game, and that he got to see the Reds put in a good performance and score lots of goals as well. So, happy birthday, and again, I'm sorry that the rest of the day or when you woke up from that point onwards wasn't great. It's been a tough 48 hours for me as well, mate. I was sitting here last night, 8:40, logging in to come on, all excited about having booked in the new show in Liverpool, dying to share it with everybody. 8:42, get a message from Connor, OFFS, and then all the Zubimendi stuff. And my evening yesterday was spent being a sounding board for people to vent, and that's what I'm here for. But yeah, this isn't the transfer activity we were hoping to be talking about, mate. Joanne's Bowman said, where's that one? Why won't it come up? 1 second, Joanne. Said, we're doomed this season. I will forever support the team, but it's the truth with FSG as owners. Yeah, they're not good enough as owners. It's as simple as that. And you're right. And that's it. Like, owning a football club it must be amazing, because whatever you do, people are going to keep coming back. One set of fans are unhappy. Well, guess what? There'll be another set of fans right along that will take those tickets, buy stuff in the club shop. It's like you can't lose. You get to mistreat the people who are the lifeblood of the club, the supporters. You get to lie to them, manipulate them, bullshit them, and yet they keep coming back spending money over and over again. TV packages, new jerseys. Imagine with a straight face in a cost of living crisis, looking at your customers, supporters, fans and going, £125 sterling for a vapor version of the kit. £125 in a cost of living crisis, and then having the cheek to want to copyright Liverpool to stop anybody maybe selling some blag stuff, or families having to go to other websites to buy jerseys. I have an idea. Maybe stop being robbing bastards and families will be able to afford the real stuff. But no, blame Nike. Like Liverpool had nothing to do with it. It's Nike's decision. Everything is never their fault. Never. Reece said, I was angry to see Carvalho was sold. He could have gotten to the first team for sure with some time. We're heading into the wrong direction. Is there any news on signings, mate? Yes, there is a bit, and I'm going to move on to it in a sec. I just want to get through these super chats, Reese. There is some hope here, and I'll talk about it in a moment. Craig, rally the troops, and we all protest FSG out. You see, as soon as I or anybody else utters those words, we're vilified. Because we don't understand it. We don't get it. Do we not remember Hickson, Gillette, Hodgson, yada, 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 rinse, repeat, vilified. You've seen it. Whether you're an account on Twitter that has spoken out against the owners, whether you're somebody, you're laughed at, you're mocked at by people who somehow think this is acceptable. And we'll talk about the great old days of the 70s and 80s when Liverpool dominated football. And we'll live off that. But somehow don't want the owners that are at the club now to re-deliver those days, or don't want to hold them to account to bring those days back. It's not even logical thinking. Liverpool exists to win trophies. Cool, but not now. We've conquered all of Europe. We're never going to stop. Well, looks like we're stopping. Danny said, hi everyone, just joined. Hope to get to know you all. Really disappointed with the lack of signings. Danny, welcome. Welcome in, my friend. Lovely to have you in. Welcome to our community, mate. You've joined at a pretty tetchy time with regards to how we're all feeling, but it's always lovely to meet new people and have you in, mate. Thank you. Robbie, how are we, sir? Robbie Collins. Robbie said, hello, Craig. Hope you're well. Not feeling too confident for the season. Anywhere you can buy that hoodie, keep it up, speaking the truth. Again, it's no problem getting the hoodies, getting them made. It's just they're so cost prohibitive, mate, that it's not worth asking people to buy them. You know, as I said earlier on, this one, as I'm wearing it now, cost me about, well, I got lucky. I got 2 hoodies for 90, so it cost me about €55. But if I had to buy the hoodie singly, it would have been €60 and about a tenner for the embroidery, and that's 70 quid before you sell it, and you're not making anything. So I'd love to, but I don't think it's reasonable to ask people to cough up that much money. We do have Anfield Agenda mugs that we're bringing out at about 12 quid in the next week or two. But and the family are good, mate. Thank you for your support as well. And I will keep speaking what I believe to be the truth, because I can only speak and talk about things, Robbie, how I see them, mate, you know. I never expect everyone to agree with me, but all I can say to you is I give you my honest views. David said Zubimendi waiting for Alonso to join Madrid. We will not win the league with this injury-prone team. It's certainly a possibility, mate, that that's one of the factors. It's a risky one from him because 2 things. One, Sociedad will probably do the same thing to him next year again with the guilt tripping, because remember when it started that we were in for him, Sociedad weren't going to stand in his way. You know, they weren't going to, if he said he wanted to go, they weren't going to stand in his way until they did. So if I'm him and his agent, it's a big risk to think that automatically Alonso's going to go to Madrid. Then you have to believe that there's a space in the squad where you've got Camavinga, Zubimendi and some other top-notch midfielders there. Then you've got to think that your club will agree to the move. It just might not happen. There's too many hypotheticals there to pin your hopes on it, but it still doesn't change the fact that he didn't want to come to Liverpool and has left us where we're at in this position. Craig's, it's just me or has the club quietly rebranded our crest? The Liverpool t-shirt logo has replaced our original logo everywhere. No, it was spoken about, mate. You are right in that the club have leaned into the Liverbird as a standalone thing. They were talking about using it on all their social media and digital platforms, I believe. So it was announced. They didn't do it on the QT. But you're not imagining things either. Acentino said, why are we even listening to journalists? They never are ever right, and that includes David Lynch. Well, all I can say to you is David used to work at the football club, and from my dealings with David Lynch, I've never found him to be in any way delusional, apologetic, or in denial of what's wrong. That's my opinion. And you're going to see a lot more of David Lynch on the channel because he's going to become a regular part of our content. He's going to come in on the day after games and we're going to do breakdowns. We're going to talk about what it was like at the game because David goes to them all. We're going to give you information in that regard. We're going to do podcasts together. So, but I do get what you mean about journalists, but it's never their fault. When these things don't happen, for an example, this deal didn't happen, I'm getting the blame somehow on social media. If United didn't sign a player, you can bet your arse Goldbridge or the Paddock lads who get it in the ear, somehow it's their fault. Or Robbie at AFTV or Brian at Newcastle. It's weird. You know, the journalists that write the crap and have been proven to have gotten stuff wrong are bulletproof in some people's minds. I'm still waiting for any proof that the club was up for sale when David Ornstein came out and said it. Nobody else said it, nor did an offer ever come in. But look, you can't expect a journalist to be right 100% of the time. But the whole stuff like there with James Pearce, which is just flatly denying what's happening, as in Liverpool aren't looking to bring in a goalkeeper this month, and then Liverpool have had a bid refused for a goalkeeper in the same day. I mean, and it's not the first time or second time with a lot of these guys. I don't know what to say. Yeah, you know, don't know all of them individually as people. I've met some of them. Always seem nice. James Pearce is a really lovely guy who's always been very good to fan channels. But again, he's apparently just denying what's clearly there at the moment, and I don't understand why. Daniel Nelson said, returning to the Champions League with no signings. Yep. This means more, though. This means more, mate. Remember that. United signing players left, right and centre. Yep, and they're the ones that apparently had some issues with profit and sustainability and had to get 2 exemptions during the COVID times. But they're still out there spending a load of dosh. Roofs leaking in the stadium. They've made about 200 people redundant. And yet they're still able to go out there and try to strengthen the team. Whereas we're in a great position, as everybody loves to remind us all, financially, but haven't got a pot to piss in. Sugar Ray 29 said, I wonder if FSG are gambling on the youth in the team to come through like they did for some of the last season. No new players buying but profit. Of course that's their wet dream, mate. And to be fair, for us fans as well, it's a dream scenario when young players come through like that and save you millions. It's great. But you can't rewrite what's already been written this summer about some of these kids. Like by Cecic. He's still available for loan. Trey Neone wasn't ready 3 weeks ago in the media because he isn't ready. Physically, he's not ready for the rigours of the Premier League, nor should he be expected to be. He just turned 17. So he should be at least a year away. He needs to be working on his physicality. He needs to be working on some more tactical awareness. But my God, he's a promising young footballer. But these guys shouldn't be expected to come in and win you a Champions League as a baby. Nor should we as fans be expected to sit through 2, 3, 4 years of development hoping that they come good. We should be winning now and they should be coming in behind then ready for the next group. Ease them in one by one, bit by bit, from a position of strength. Sorry, I'm just reading something here. 1 second. So Bobby Clark's definitely annoyed. He's posting, videos of him scoring and doing well, and said missing it with sands of time thing. Again, you've seen Harvey Blair, another youngster today, post a black and white image. So they're ruining their own work of bringing in young players. How do you sell future young players division when you don't even give Bobby Clark a chance? Sign a new deal. He's only ever looked good. I don't remember one performance from Bobby Clark that we didn't at least go, well, he doesn't look out of place out there, does he? And he's surplus to requirements for pittance. 10 million quid. So I don't blame these lads for being absolutely disillusioned, because the owners don't seem to know what they want other than not to spend money. Lewis Steele said Zubimendi, a keen hiker, was told about his perfect life in the shadows of the Ulia mountain range and how he would miss the Basque eateries. He was also reminded of an interview he gave after the Euros where he promised to stay at Real. So, was nobody advising him, let's say his agent or his family, able to say to him, you only get one career. See these mountains? They're not going to disappear in the few years you're away. You can come back and live the rest of your life out in the beautiful Basque country with the great eateries and the wonderful mountains. But in the meantime, would you like some Champions League medals? Would you like some silverware? Would you like to actually go out and have as good a career as possible? Nobody able to pitch that to him, though? Just making sure I haven't missed any of these comments. I don't know what this is about. New shirt sponsor equals talk TV. I have no idea, mate, what that's about. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to have to read this out. Not because you posted it much, but just because I'm having to say this sentence. Apparently on the latest, on the One Football app, it said we're about to hijack Gallagher's deal. Not a 6. I would take him. Thoughts? No. Is my thoughts. No. 38 million. So we've gone from 110 to 60 for Lavia, to 51 for Zubimendi, down to 38 for Gallagher. Again, is it a coincidence that it's cheaper we're going down for this really, really important... No, I refuse to believe that even the club are that stupid. No. I wouldn't take Conor Gallagher personally, mate. Not for me. So, there has been a bid rejected for Johan Bakayoko, but not from Liverpool. Nottingham Forest have had a bid rejected from PSV Eindhoven for Johan Bakayoko, according to Belgian journalist, I believe, Sacha Tavolieri. So, if Liverpool are interested there, and I don't know if they are, then, you know, they'd want to be keeping an eye on that situation as well. Liverpool are in talks, according to Sky Sports, with who was it? QPR over a possible loan for Owen Beck. So that's another youngster going out there to get experience, which in normal circumstances you'd go, yeah, fine. But so if any of you guys watched my interview with David Lynch earlier on, one of the things that kind of stuck in my mind from what David said to me was about ENQUIRIES and how he could almost solve two positions in one go. Left back or left side of a centre back even. Or left of a back three. And Liverpool have an interest. Now the thing that makes ENQUIRIES entirely possible again is the release clause. So if we want to bring in a left back, because look, we all know Costas ain't good enough. You know, how highly you think of him as a person, I understand, because he seems like a lovely guy, but he isn't that guy for us. And we need to look to Andy Robertson's future as well. Go trigger that release clause at 38 million. What the fuck are we waiting for? We know his agency. We know the clause exists. It's just all sell, sell, sell. Bring in money, bring in money, bring in money. And then we'll be told that there wasn't enough time in the window. Or people were being unrealistic about their prices as we get £27.5 million for Fabio Carvalho. And people are unrealistic about their prices as Dominic Solanke goes for £65 million in the window. Roy Patel said 60 million left from Caicedo bid, 45 million saved and raised this year, yet we can't buy anyone. Youngsters sold to raise cash. FSG out. No notes from me there, Roy. I don't disagree with what you've said because I can't. Why could I? It's all pretty much spot on. But you forgot the one important aspect there, mate. It's the juggernaut of sympathising journalists that will continue to write this crap rather than actually call it as we all see it. Because that's all it would take here, is actually a few of these people to join in and help out and go, nah, this is absolutely not good enough. Because some of these guys are Liverpool fans at heart as well as journalists. I don't get it. Is it that nice inside Anfield? Is it that nice getting an interview where you get to ask copy and paste questions that nobody gives a fuck about? And you're not allowed to ask the actual questions that we all want answers to? Is it really worth it for a few pictures on your wall? Because I like to go to bed at night with a clean conscience, knowing that I'm being honest in my day-to-day activity and speaking out against what I can clearly see is piss taken by the owners. Danny said, hey Craig, thanks for the welcome, much appreciated. No number 6 this summer is inexcusable, so next season we're potentially looking for a world-class number 6, a Mo replacement and a VVD replacement. Don't forget a potential goalkeeper replacement, or 2, because Yaros is also in the last year of his deal. We haven't given Trent a new deal yet, and we also may have to replace Mohamed Salah, like you've said. So yeah, and we're definitely getting all that done next year, Danny, as you know yourself, because you should just look at the great track record of us for filling gaps in our squad. It's yeah. Well, thank you again for coming in, Danny. Thank you for your kind words about your welcome. But yeah, I see your frustration and I hear you and I'm with you, mate. It's just it's not good enough, is it? Top 4 for the owners is silverware, but not for the fans. FSG don't believe in parting with money aimed at silverware. Facts don't care about feelings. Yep. So, I have a little phrase on that I want to read out to you about facts, mate. 1 second. At least I hope I still have this here. Facts are stubborn things. Whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the want of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. And this, mate, is one of those situations where they can try to rewrite history. They can try to convince us that what we're seeing with our own 2 eyes isn't actually what's happening. But thankfully, there's still some of us who are awake enough to actually spot this crap as a pattern and call it out. Owen Dunn, how are you, my friend? And welcome in, and thank you for your super chat, Owen. So it's such a small thing, but the fact that the seats haven't been painted on the main stand just shows how little pride and care the owners have. Discoloration is all awful looking. It's horrible. There's a few people mentioned that actually when we played Las Palmas. Obviously the seats were empty, and it's not a great look. I agree with you, mate. It isn't a great look, but again, is it surprising? By the way, just a couple of things. I'm going to stay on for another half hour, so if you are still with us, Please do hit that subscribe button. As you can see, we're closing in on 270,000 subscribers. Getting there as soon as we can will be amazing. So please do keep hitting that subscribe button and drop a like on the stream for us. We're at 933 likes. We've had 1,000 likes for the last week on every stream. We're on an incredible run. So if you can help us out with that by dropping a like as well, really would appreciate it. Let's check in on the poll that was put up earlier on. Where do you expect Liverpool to finish without any signings? And again, we've had over 5,000 votes on this. 5th to 7th is so far what 36% of you guys watching believe with no signings is our fate for this season. 4th with 30% is in second place. Second or third, 24%. And then first, 10%. So again, thank you to everyone who's voting in the polls as well. Right, which one am I on? This one. Ben said, I would be happier trying to bring in N'Golo Kante rather than Conor Gallagher. At least he's a DM. I just don't want Conor Gallagher for various reasons. I didn't want him last year when Jurgen was here and the idea was being flirted with or mentioned in the media. It's just nothing against Conor Gallagher, but I just don't think he's going to be a difference maker in the way we would need somebody to be in the centre of the park. Will said, why is it that we have to suffer with this every window? Enough is enough, FSG. Either do what's needed to progress or sell up. The reason we have to put up with it for every window, mate, is what we've explained numerous times. There's a subset of people that are genuinely okay with how things are. And I truly believe that there are some genuine people out there who say that. Then there is the people who live in cloud cuckoo land but have their feet under the table, so it's kind of I'm alright, Jack, pull up the ladder and sod the rest. Then you've got people like myself, maybe others on social media, maybe Hussam, certainly some of the guys from my memory of Drifty, Callum and the guys at Coppish. Some people have spoken out. But again, you see the pattern of, you won't see any of us getting invites to anything. We actually get strange things like the football club reaching out to supporters clubs when you're going to a country saying, why are you meeting up with this guy from Anfield Agenda? What's your business with him? Bit weird that, right? That you're going over to meet up with people when you're in America to say hi because you want to meet like-minded Liverpool fans. And the same club that apparently won't acknowledge your existence when you send them an email asking them for clarification on your position in the Liverpool media landscape, who've ignored you twice, but know every move you're making in another way. That's a bit weird, that, isn't it? That's a bit iffy to me. Ryan O'Driscoll, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, Ryan. Thank you, mate, for your support. Right, anyway, I've got some more notes to go through here. Yes, hilarious, AJ. Zubi do. The one part of that, AJ, mate, that people keep forgetting to bring up is it was requested in either a super chat or a comment from somebody that wrote the lyrics and said, Craig, will you sing this? And I did. And I do it again tomorrow, mate. But was I not allowed to be happy? At a time where we thought we were getting this really good signing in? Should I have been misery then? I don't understand the thought process. Like, I'm okay to be laughed at and mocked, mate. It is what it is, like, you know, but it's just an odd one. I just find it strange. One second. Already made 48 million this summer. Already penny pinching, said Paul McGee. Right, so on Bastoni. So when I spoke with David, and by all means, do have a watch of it yourself, and you'll probably get more information from the summarization I'm going to give you. He did say to me, because I kind of said it in a dismissive kind of way to him. I said, obviously there's been links to the likes of Bastoni from Inter Milan, but when we spoke previously, he wasn't the profile that Liverpool were looking to bring in of defender. And he said to me something along the lines of, somebody whose opinion I do trust and who's been right for me before has mentioned the name to me, but I don't feel enough conviction in it or haven't heard anything else in it to write about it and make it a topic that I want to hang my hat on. Again, I'm paraphrasing there. So it's certainly a name that's come up inside Liverpool circles, but whether that ever leads to an offer or not, I wouldn't be holding my breath. But there are other options at left back, as we've mentioned, or left centre back. But the big question that I'd like an answer to is, so we've seen United pull off deals 1-2 real quick. We've seen Arsenal pull off it. Why is it we can only work on one deal at a time and still not get it done? That genuinely baffles me. Ryan said, keep up the good work, mate. Love the channel. On a side note, our owners are an effing joke. No argument for me on the last part, sir, and thank you for your continued support of the channel. Marcus, how are you, my friend? Said, feel so empty for the upcoming season. Sorry. I mean, it's totally understandable. Look, when the league kicks off against Ipswich, of course we'll all be behind the manager. We'll all be wanting the lads to do well. But they're banking on that. They're banking on this fire fume going away like it has every other year. And then the spin will come out about promises of a bright future and big investments and the spine of the team being rebuilt and all this other crap that just kicks the can down the road. You know, if you haven't learned now that this is just same old year after year, then I don't know what to say. Carl, how are you, my friend? And thank you for your super chat. Carl Walsh said, I can't see how we can be successful without a new number 6 or any signings. FSG need to go. They are not, if they're not going to invest. So, again, when I spoke with David brought up the fact that even Arne Slot said he'd be amazed if there were no new signings. I don't know if that's because maybe our new manager hasn't fully been lubed up and told what to expect from John and co, or whether he's been told something else in his ear. But it certainly seems like he expects new signings. He knows the areas that need to be strengthened. And if it doesn't work out this season, it isn't going to be FSG that are going to hold their hands up and go, we got it wrong, sorry. It'll be the manager. He'll be the one that will be said hasn't been good enough, or the jump was too big from the Eredivisie to the Prem. It won't be because the owners didn't do their damn job. And that's what really pisses me off, because I really want Arne to succeed, because I really like him. I like his brand of football, and I like that he had the balls to come in after Jurgen Klopp and step up to the job. So I don't want to see him hung out to dry by these owners. David Massett said, we're a loyal fan base, but it's time for a demonstration against FSG. But you'll be told, David, they built the main stand and the Annie Road end, and Jurgen delivered you a league title, so shut up and wait another 30 years before you're allowed to moan. But you are right. You should, and I would encourage everybody on social media to have your voices heard. To say enough with FSG, spend or go. I would never and will never encourage any vitriol or bile, or keep it to facts. Talk about football, talk about the ownership, and talk about the fact they're not good enough. Because they hate bad PR. And if you want to start partnering up with blue chip firms and bragging about it, like Billy Hogan was on the pre-season tour, about Liverpool's brand values and all this, well, those blue chip companies want to partner with winners. They don't want to partner with also-rans. And you can't... Remember, they tried to ban the flag. They tried to get licenses for the flags and banners on the Kop, which is the image that they use to sell all around the world for the history, traditions and folklore of the club. The very thing that was providing that, they were trying to make more difficult for those fans who do it out of passion to go about doing that. There is no end to the fuckery from these people. Ella, how are you, my friend? Said, hope you're well. Clark linked with Coventry on loan. What do you make of that? It's not happening. It will be Salzburg on a permanent, or maybe Newcastle, Ella. Salzburg are pushing really hard. They've come back in with a third offer. It's seemingly getting closer to the number Liverpool want. So I don't think you're going to see him at Coventry, which I know, of course, being a friend of yours, Ella, I know Bowes, Coventry, Liverpool, they're your soft spots. But yeah, unfortunately, mate, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, I say unfortunately, I actually don't have any vested interest that I'm going to Coventry, but I mean, unfortunately for you, Ella, I don't think it's going to happen. Roy Patel said, get FSGO planes and posters around Anfield. Look, there are other ways of going about this as well. You know, you can stop buying stuff at the stadium. You can stop buying jerseys, merchandise. You can hit them in their wallets as well. Ricky Keeley said, as a United fan, I feel the pain. The Glazers done this to us for years. I have a feeling Slot will be like Moyes, not backed and sacked this season. The thing about that though, Ricky, is at least you as a United fan could look at the way the club was bought and see the money being milked away by the Glazers. Like seeing those crippling interest repayments year after year and that money going out the door. We're all being led to believe these guys are geniuses and that the football club is in fantastic financial health. So that doesn't square with us not having any ability to go and attack the transfer market. So, you know, maybe they're just better manipulators than the Glazers, but certainly they have brainwashed many Liverpool fans into thinking they can do no wrong. Slot's already been mentioned on TalkSport not making the end of the season as manager. This is the kind of negativity we don't need. FSG out. You're right. It is the type of negativity we don't need. And how is that showing faith in your new manager that you've said is the one? Not like, I can't believe for a second that Slot's happy about this. I refuse to believe he is. Because he knows it'll be his neck on the line eventually. And if you fail at something because you're not good enough, that's one thing. But if you're going out there and let's say you're installing windows in a house and you're being given rusty screws and, you know, shoddy equipment and the windows aren't sitting great, you know, only so much of that's on you. The rest of it's on the lack of equipment and tools to do your job properly. Harry said, Slot looks amazing. His football gets me off my seat and improve Fabio and Trey, only for the owners to tie his hand and sell players that he's improved. I was confused, Harry, as to what the whole point of looking at everybody in pre-season was if the only answer was sell them all. You know, what was the point? Like, he got to look at Carvalho, who scored twice in pre-season, and we sold him at the first opportunity. They signed Clark to a new deal and are shifting him on for money. Bajcetic is going to go out on loan, and I think that is the right move because he's been a full year without any first team football, so he needs to get minutes. Dan's we can't even send on loan because unfortunately at the moment he has a back injury. You've got young players like McConnell, Clark and was it Blair posting black and white images clearly showing they're pissed off at the club, and apparently it's just fingers in the ears time. Everything's grand as the house burns down behind us. Roy said, top Reds men saying FSG out. Imagine that. I'd love them to. There'd be no I told you so's from me. I've no interest in being right about this. I just have an interest in us all getting on the same page. You know, I don't want to be saying, haha, I told you so. I don't care about that. I care about the club and what's best for the club. So if more people are finally waking up and realising that these lads are spoofers, Welcome on board. Great to have you. Now, how can we be proactive together? Mutz, say what you see, said, maybe Anfield needs to take a leaf out of Old Trafford's book and start throwing tennis balls onto the pitch. That's bad PR and it got Jim Ratcliffe. Maybe. Look, there is any number of things we can do, but most importantly, what you'd want is a collective. So just as an example, let me put this out there. Imagine if us, Redmen, the Anfield Rap, Coppish, Anfield Index, the Echo, the journalists that cover the Liverpool patch, other podcasts, all the Twitter accounts, your Anfield sectors, your Anything Liverpools, your LFC transfer rooms, your Anfield editions, everybody came together and had, I don't know, a summit where we all spoke about it and figured out a strategy to actually start to demand better. I'd love to think that that was possible. But it's going to take somebody with their feet already under the table to get that ball moving. Because if I try and do it, I'm laughed at as an out-of-towner who doesn't know what he's talking about. So it's going to take one of the big established platforms to get the ball rolling. Paul McGee said, and again it's a very fair point, Paul, more games this season with less players. Yep. 8 Champions League group stage games, less players. And on top of that, mate, less of a summer break. So some of these guys have only had 3 weeks holidays. And we're supposed to believe that our 33, 34-year-old centre-back isn't going to get fatigued. Mohamed Salah, who flags at the end of most seasons anyway, isn't going to get fatigued. And then the other players who've picked up injuries, like Kanade, who misses a handful every year. Alisson started to pick up some knocks and injuries. That everything is going to go perfectly right. Nobody's going to get injured. And it'll all be good. There's a lot of leaps of faith to be taken there, right? So, let's have a look at the poll. We're nearly at 6,000 votes. I'll end it when we get to 6,000 votes. We asked, where do you think Liverpool finish without any signings this summer? And we've had just 10 away from 6,000. So when that gets to 6,000, I'll end the vote. There we go. So we've had 6,000, just over 6,000 votes now. And you guys have said, I'm just waiting for the vote result to come up here into the chat. Come on, hurry up. There we go. So, 5th to 7th, 35% of people that voted think Liverpool will finish somewhere between 5th and 7th. 4th, with 30%, was second on the list. 2nd or 3rd with 23%. And first place, 10% of people. So, basically, 65% of Liverpool's fan base feels we're going to be fighting just to get a Champions League spot. Or, sorry, of our audience feel like we'll be fighting just to get a Champions League spot. And the season hasn't already kicked off yet. And we're already that disillusioned. How mad is that? Roy Patel said, AFTV put noise about Kroenke and now look. Again, though, they're a 1.6, 1.7 million channel. It's going to take a few of us to come together. Because if you put together all of our subscribers, you're still coming up a little bit short of the numbers they have. But it would certainly show a united front from the fan base, right? And my problem here is you don't want any of these conversations hijacked by people who are just completely not on the same planet. Like, there doesn't need to be massive extremes. We need to have a civilized conversation in the middle where we're realistic about what we want, which is just to be competitive. To do what other clubs in our position are able to do, which is bring in signings to improve your squad, not intentionally weaken it. Mike, again, thank you, mate, for the super chat without a comment. I wish I could say your name properly the way I want to say it, because it's a good way of describing how I feel about FSG. Let me say it another way. A bunch of Clints. Lucas said, Craig, what do you think the chances are that FSG actually listen to us? Well, they've shown in the past that they'll react to negative publicity, whether it be about the season ticket prices, or whether it be about the copywriting of Liverpool, or the Super League, or any of the other many things they've tried to do to shaft us, the fans. Eventually, when the PR gets hot enough on them and enough negative headlines get written about their brand, then they listen and they pretend to care. Harvey Blair posted a video saying back with a video of him scoring. Oh, look, these young players are clearly disillusioned. Blair, Clark, McConnell, they don't put these posts out. It's not a coincidence that they're just posting black and white images. Now, we're all trying to figure out exactly what the aim is, but it just feels like everything at the club right now has gone from good vibes and potential positivity after a good pre-season to everything again looking like it's a charade, a fake front. Have I ever been to Drogheda? Indeed I have, yes, I have. What about you, lad? Huh? Or no, it's I am, so I am, isn't it? More up your neck of the woods. I am, so I am. Yes, I've been up to Drogheda. It's been a few years now, but I was up there with the missus for a weekend. Maybe, oh God, it must be 10 years ago minimum. Craig, Bobby Clark posting black and white pictures is normal. Yeah, again, do you think it's an accident that he's done it, Blair's done it, and McConnell's done it, and Bobby Clark's now posting videos of him talking about wanting to get back to playing? So whatever, again, if you want to think that it's a coincidence, fair enough. And you are right, he has done it in the past. But again, it's a trend now. And, you know, it has to be happening for a reason. What would it take for you to trust FSG again? So, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I'll never trust them because of the Super League. That was the end of any potential of trust. But you can live with something. So what would it take? Ambition. They've said so many times that their own MO is that they want to under-promise and over-deliver. They talk absolute shite. It would take them to actually do what other clubs are doing. For Liverpool to be in the top 2, 3, 4 in transfer windows with spending or with at least looking like they want to win. Do you know, say what you want about where Arteta is at Arsenal, but Kroenke's gone in there and brought him in Declan Rice. They've added another defender to what was already the best defence in the league in Calafiori. They've a £250 million defence. He's brought in a goalkeeper to push Ramsdale and then overtook him. They're on the hunt for a striker. United are doing everything in their power to get back up. Villa are doing their business. Newcastle are looking to try and sign Marquez and others. And meanwhile, we have people writing articles that next summer the whole squad might be strengthened again. And we, as rational-minded people with 12 years experience of these frauds, these absolute spoofers in Boston, are supposed to believe this. How chill. Day is only 2 Prem. Fucking construct a sentence, mate. If you want to try and make me read your waffle, at least construct a sentence in a way that I can read it. And also, I disagree with you entirely, and don't tell me to chill. Bye-bye. There's only 2 Premier League clubs on our level. Well, then imagine what there'd be if we actually made a signing or two, my silly little friend. Imagine the phrase where there was nobody on our level because we've strengthened and pushed ahead of them. Imagine that world. Where people are playing catch up with us because we're the strongest squad. Wouldn't that be nice? But no, let's just chill though, because we'll finish 3rd or 4th again. My thoughts exactly, mate, said Ryan O'Driscoll. The Super League killed me, all of my trust. I was curious as to your thoughts. We're on the same page. Yeah, look, I wouldn't trust them, but you can't change what's happened. You know, I can't make them sell. But God, if they at least tried to make us competitive. It's like, they don't even show up. This is the thing, they're absent owners anyway, who don't give a damn. They can't be bothered to show up. Rowan said, Klopp must be relieved that he isn't part of this mess anymore. Overachieving season after season with 4 comps completely drained him. Yep. And we may never know if he truly was happy with the owners or not, mate. We may never know. But we do know that he left because he couldn't fight on anymore. You know, and that's a shame. Because if they weren't willing to back the greatest manager of our generation enough, I don't know what else to say. You know, if they can't even make their hometown club one that's continuously competitive in Boston, and I don't understand baseball. I know they broke the curse of the Bambino, but again, it's eerily similar that they've had some success and then just sat back and fallen away and lived off that success. Tim Oliveira said, Craig, I live in Boston. FSG lost all our trust. Imagine doing that, mate, in your hometown. Like, you're a Bostonian, Tim. Imagine you someday got to own the Red Sox or the Celtics. Imagine that. Would you be able to sleep at night, mate, knowing that you haven't done everything in your power to make the club in the city you grew up in, that you live in, work in, dine out in, shop in, successful, competitive, that you cheapen out? I would imagine, Tim, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night, mate, and I'd imagine that you would do everything in your power. And if they won't do that for their club, their town, their city, then why do we think they give a damn about us on the other side of the Atlantic? The only thing they've cared about is the big, glorious increase in the value of the club since they bought it for 300 million. Like, best investment they've ever made by multiples. And they still can't be arsed trying to make us win. Roy Patel said, United spend 200 million. We have Champions League and the biggest revenue. Where's the money? We can't spend 51 million. Matip, Thiago not replaced and still have to replace VVD, Trent and Salah. And these guys are going to look at the contract situations now and go, why should I stay again? You're a hometown boy and you think I'm an idiot? You know, I don't like, it's going to be a tough sell to Trent. You're relying on Trent loving the club because he's a local boy. And they haven't even bothered to get that sorted. What are they at? Like, the recruitment team is getting paid for doing nothing. Except looking over numbers and stats and compiling lists and data and metrics. Well, I have a stat for you. 2 months, fuck all signings. You're welcome. David Massett said, I got the new home top on Sunday. It cost me £125 at the store. A lot of people were in the store on Sunday. There was queue after queue. Well, we were there the week before, mate. And my wife was in the club shop. and bought me the away jersey, bought my son the away jersey, bought Connor the away jersey, and bought herself the goalkeeper's jersey. I'm regretting that decision now. Not because I don't love the club, but because I despise the fact that I've, for the first time in a few years, broken my habit of not buying myself anything while these owners are there, because I genuinely thought the Zubimendi thing was going to happen and make us competitive. But fool me. I feel like I need to offset that with a bit of a charitable donation now to cleanse my soul. Owen Dunn said, you just know we're going to get 2 or 3 signings of unheard of 5 to 10 million on deadline day, so I can say they signed somebody as good as no signing. Either that, or they're going to just get Trent a new deal, and that's going to be it. Wow, look, we kept Trent. Trent staying, yay! We have to pay him 400 grand a week because we're idiots and we left it too long, but yay! Nilepsu, apologies on my pronunciation, my friend, said, people forget they were supposed to buy another club and even that collapsed. They couldn't buy a club that is now in administration. But they saved us though, bud. You know, we're supposed to believe that they just rode in on white horses to save us from the capitulation that was never going to happen, and that they're heroes. So why weren't they heroes for Bordeaux? Trying to just read back to a comment that somebody said was a good one. Where is it? Scrolling back up. Maybe I've missed it. Bear with me a second. Yeah, I can't see the comment. Someone said Hex is dead right, and I can't see the comment. Yeah, no, can't find it, sorry. For a multi-billion organisation, they sure seem amateurish, said Rob Quinn. Look, I've not been sent anything new to suggest that there's anything likely to happen. Another day goes by. Tomorrow now, in an hour's time, it's officially 2 months that the summer transfer window has been open and that we've just sold a player and not brought in anyone or extended a contract or did anything other than actually put ourselves in a worse position than we were before the window opened. That's where we're at, unfortunately, my friends. So I'm going to record a summary of all the news and it'll be out in about 20-25 minutes time. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:45 for the late night agenda. I'm not sure if there'll be a video earlier on in the day because I have to go renew my driver's license because that's up. So I will see you all tomorrow. Check out the podcast as well. Myself and David Lynch sat down. You can watch it on YouTube or you can download it as a podcast from whatever your favourite podcast platform of choice is. Thank you again to everybody for being so balanced towards me and fair and supportive tonight. Thank you. You know, these are never easy streams to come on and do because obviously people are angry and I understand that. How are we still in debt? The stands are loans. I don't remember saying we're still in debt. Roy, sorry mate, I don't know if I or you have picked up on something wrong there, mate. But loans put you into debt as well, mate. So even, like, do you get where I'm coming from? And Ryan, last one of the night, said, where's the money, John? Where's the money? Well, it certainly doesn't look like it's on its way to pay for a transfer anytime soon, Ryan. So look, friends, I'll see you tomorrow. Keep an eye out for the video dropping in a bit. Thanks for watching.